We're on to the addendum, and we're on Board of Supervisors sitting as other boards, Library District Board, items 2 and 3. No, 3 was corrected, Supervisor. Thank you very much. Motion and a second to approve items 2 and 3 with a correction to item 3. Any discussion, objections? Hearing none, motion carries. We're on to item 4, discretionary use of supervisor department budget funds.
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Miller, please.
I am the one who placed this on the agenda, and the reason I put it on is that it was found that some supervisors are using their department budget funds for contributions to outside agencies. There are a multitude of agencies involved, all the way from Planned Parenthood to Counselor for La Casa, universities, etc. And we have found specific instances where the organization itself or individual officers, members of these organizations are donating funds back to supervisors in their campaign finance reports. The problem we find here is that this is taxpayer money, not individual supervisor money. And I'm here to, the first thing I would like to say is I did ask Mr. Huckleberry when I first got elected to office. When it came to the year end, I had $35,000 left in my budget, and I specifically asked Mr. Huckleberry the question, is it appropriate for me to use some of my leftover funds to give to the Catalina Community Rec Center? Because the roof was caving in, and I had heard that this was a practice, and this would be for a building that is owned by Pima County residents. Mr. Huckleberry responded that, no, this is not allowed. Monies are reverted back to the general fund, and upon reflection, I thought about that, and I thought, he's right. We should not be doing this. And so I did not do it, that would, and the reason for it is it would give the appearance that we as supervisors were acting like the superheroes, doling out our money to individual county departments. So I thought about that. I wasn't happy initially, but then I thought Mr. Huckleberry is 100% correct in what he told me. I think it is legal within the law. However, I think it doesn't give a good appearance that we should be doling out of our individual funds versus returning it back to the general fund and then allowing an item to be put before the board to be voted on by the board as a whole. The other issue that I have are the outside agencies that are coming out of individual supervisor funds, donations. Appears to be there are allocations for charities, and many of them appear to be donations. I can't say for sure. However, just the appearance that we're, as supervisors, giving out monies to outside agencies should be looked at. And I did include in the background material, Prince William County in Virginia had this very same issue in 2012, where there were a lot of allegations that supervisors that were incumbents were able to dole out money to charitable organizations, thereby gaining an edge over anyone running for office against them. And this is something that I think we need to ensure that we, first of all, we're not donating in our name out there in the community. I donated to Pima Animal Care Facility, but I wrote a check out of my own checkbook. And that's the proper way to do it. I shouldn't be doling out my departmental budget to Pima Animal Care Facility, and I didn't. That's a real problem that we have. And specifically, I have questions on this from a legal aspect for the county attorney. The first question I have for you is there a conflict of interest in regards to supervisors allocating funds from their budgets and then in some instances, receiving campaign donations back from executives and directors of those organizations, specifically address, and I did include this in the background material for this item, Arizona Revised Statute 35-301, which I'll just read briefly the item that I think there are issues with. It says, duties and liabilities of custodian of public monies, violations classification. A public officer or other person, including justices of the peace, constables charged with the receipt, safekeeping, transfer, or disbursement of public monies, is guilty of a Class 4 felony who without authority of law appropriates it or any portion thereof to his own use or the use of another without some service being returned. And this is the specific question one specific question I would like to start with.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Miller, without actually taking a look at the particular contribution or taking a look at the particular circumstances, I'm not going to opine on that today. Here's the gist with regard to this. Our office and it's been the board's policy with respect to what we look at. The board has said we look at items that are $5,000 or more. And if the board wants to, as a policy, have us look at smaller items, and many of these are very de minimis, we'd be happy to do that. But without an opportunity to go through and take a look at these, I'm not going to say what is going to be a conflict of interest or not.
Well, one of the things I did was include this in the background material for this discussion today. It's all there. And for example, the Auditor General, 2013 November alert, he speaks specifically about ensuring public money is not improperly being given, donated, or loaned to private individuals or organizations. Further, public monies cannot be commingled with private monies. And then he's talked about specifically about prohibiting public officials and employees from using public resources to benefit private business organizations. Absent express statutory authority, political subdivisions have no legal right to create, operate, or administrate private entities such as foundations, booster clubs, or parent groups. In these donations going to these private entities, nonprofit organizations such as Planned Parenthood, Chicanos por la Causa, and we've provided specific, and I can certainly give you a copy, examples of where the particular supervisor gave to a charity and then the officers or the charitable organization itself gave back to their campaign. And at the very minimum, we should be, as supervisors, making the public feel very comfortable that we are doing nothing inappropriate with their funds. And I'm not saying anybody did anything inappropriate, but this does not give a good appearance. And the other question I have is, how can the supervisors allocate funds to various outside agencies without one question from finance or from any other organization within the county? And is there any required internal audit for Pima County? I haven't seen one done, but I have read the perceived policies, and it appears there should be an internal audit by our peers. Is that correct?
Ms. Lesher?
Mr. Burke, you can answer that, please.
Mr. Burke? Seems to be a hot potato.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Miller, there is no requirement for internal audit peer review. There are some standards that's a good recommendation. There's no requirement for that, and the county is audited by the Auditor General, and so we do internal audits for compliance with our regulations, our policies, but we do not do financial audits.
Okay, and I had another question for Mr. Whitteris or Mr. Burke, whoever wishes to answer this. Also regarding two donations of $13,000, of the total of $13,000 given by a supervisor to Chicanos por la Causa. Within 2 months, this supervisor gave $7,499. Now, you were talking, Mr. Straub, about the limitation of $5,000. Within 2 months, $7,500 was given, and this certainly violates that spirit of not giving more than $5,000, does it not?
I'm not going to comment on that. I think the reason is that we take a look at, and this board does, just organizations, the same organizations, depending on the nature of the service provided or what is expected in return for the money for the public service. We do that on a number of occasions. In other words, we'll give $35,000 here, the same organization, we also get it for another purpose, $40,000 there, etc. Our view is that we review those whenever any one of those discrete items are more than $5,000. for that particular service or the item. That's what's being asked, and that's what the board's policy is. That's in the contract policy under Board of Supervisors policy D29.4. These issues these are very small contributions. You know, yes, I see that, I'm not going to dispute that they don't aggregate more than that, but we haven't had a chance to take a look at that to see, whether there's anything at all improper about this. With respect to the statute that you cite, we don't dispute that that's the statute, but at this point, the county attorney's been presented with no evidence that this money is not being used for an appropriate purpose. And until this board wants us to take a look at that, I don't have anything before me to make any comment that's meaningful to this board.
Well, I did include this, I put this on the agenda last Thursday, and I'm expected to be prepared to vote on Tuesday morning, given a Thursday deadline, and that's what I have to deal with all the time. And I will tell you that my expectation was that you would come here prepared with specific answers today, because these are real serious questions. If I gave to a charity out of my budget, I will tell you, I would hear about it. Can you imagine if I was giving to charities of my choice out of my department budget funds, and in fact I was told I could not do it, specifically by Mr. Huckleberry last year for an internal county-owned facility. Now we're talking about outside organizations. And if I start donating to the charities of my choice, and in addition to this, I just want to make it clear to the public, we give, just about every week, you will see charitable donations come through that are from federal funds that are allocated. We have a board that decides where those funds are to be allocated. And I trust that board, and I trust what they're doing with those federal funds. But in addition to that, we constantly get requests via the Board of Supervisors contingency funds, which I always bring up the point, that is supposed to be used for emergencies and very unusual circumstances only. However, we have parties coming through, Juneteenth parties, one I can think of, every year, and some of these very charities that individual supervisors are giving to get funds from the federal grant money, and they also get funds from the Board of Supervisors contingency funds. And we have a board that oversees that to ensure that there's fairness, and in this case, I think I would have asked Mr. Whitaker's if he was here to address this, and I think that we need to address this. $7,500 given within 2 months certainly violates that spirit of the $5,000 limitation. And finally, I do have an email from Mr. Burke dated July 2nd, and we were discussing Supervisor Bronson recently giving $7,000 of taxpayer funds, and it is not her money. It belongs to you, the taxpayers, and that's something we need to make really clear, that this is what is happening, is that people are having their picture taken or getting a thank you for giving your money to these various charities and internal organizations, which is wrong. We should be getting a thank you to the taxpayers. For example, the tough shed that Mr. Carroll got, I got a picture sent to me that shows, thank you Supervisor Carroll for sending us the $3,500 tough shed that he purchased out of his budget. That isn't right. What it should say is thank you Pima County taxpayers. Yes. Number one. And number two, why aren't we budgeting, I'll give you a chance, Mr. Carroll, to respond. Why aren't we budgeting for this in the Pima Animal Care budget instead of allowing this type of behavior to go on? It's wrong and it shouldn't happen. I just have a couple more comments, and then I'll give the floor to you, Mr. Carroll. I'd also like to cite Board of Supervisor policy D29.4 on page 6 of 10. There are specific requirements and conditions for these awards to outside agencies, typically grant funds that must have a specific purpose. I've seen no specific purpose provided. There are templates that must be used and an aggregate funding cap to be monitored by the budget control, i.e. finances, for these purposes on an annual basis. This is according to our own policy. As I said, Williams County, Virginia had this problem, same problem that we have right here in 2012. There were allegations these donations gave incumbent supervisors unfair advantage during elections, and gave the appearance of doling out our taxpayer monies to these charities as if it were our own money. Charities in Pima County, as I said, receive grant monies from the federal government, millions each year. In addition, the board has been voting for these organizations out of the Board of Supervisor Contingency Fund. Supervisors allocating these monies is not right. I would like the county administrator, the county attorney, to clearly define the rules regarding outside agency donations, and I would also like to see an end to monies for internal departments coming directly from supervisor budgets. These are not supervisors' monies. These belong to the taxpayers. I say that again and again because I see people run by and thank the supervisors. Thank you for giving me this money. It's not my money. It's not anyone on this board's money. It's the taxpayers' money.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And finally, as you can see from
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Excuse me, Supervisor Valdez.
I believe the room should be respectful of the supervisor when she's speaking.
I would ask the room to please be respectful of the supervisors when they are addressing the chair. Thank you.
as you can see from that picture, you know, this group, this is just one example of how people think that the supervisor is the all-powerful, almighty, thank you very much for spending taxpayer money. And I can't reiterate enough how wrong this picture is and how obscene it is, because this belongs to the taxpayers. And to thank Supervisor Carroll, that is just wrong. He should have turned that money back to the general fund, and if there was a significant need, then Mr. Huckleberry or Mr. Carroll could have put an item on the agenda for all of the supervisors to vote upon. I reserve my final motion and will allow Mr. Carroll the floor. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Mr. Chairman, I really have no comment. I should say you're welcome to the people at the Pima Animal Care Center. That facility was needed to protect and preserve medical supplies, durable goods that were donated and had no place to be stored in order to lessen the cost of taxpayer dollars spent at the Animal Care Center. I reviewed each and every of the purchases and the expenditures of my office very closely. That's why, for the last 18 years, I've given the most money back each and every year from my budget annually. This year, I'm going to give back $68,000. I've never gone over budget. I've always reduced and returned dollars. As I said, this year over $63,000 went back to the general fund. Obviously, to me, this is an ill-prepared report. It's not coherent because it doesn't have all districts on it, number one. Number two, how it could be called for a vote when it's not even a comprehensive report, I don't know. But I will say I only want to respond to the fact that general fund dollars and history, I'd like to see Mr. Huckleberry's response to you. Is it in writing?
Mr. Huckleberry responded to me verbally last year when I asked the question. No, it was not. However, I will be asking for a response in writing, both from Mr. Huckleberry and the county attorney, because I think it's appropriate that you tell me I can go out and donate my excess funds. I'm under budget every year, the last 2 years, and I would like to know, is it appropriate for me to donate to the charity of my choice? I don't think so. I don't think the taxpayers would appreciate me picking the charity. It's up to the taxpayers to decide where their charitable donations go, not me. And that's where I think the crux of the matter is that we need to address. And Mr. Carroll, we didn't receive one question. We submitted this material. It's very detailed. There's a lot of background material, including the Auditor General's report specifically on this item. And we will be contacting them, asking them their opinion, because apparently we can't get an opinion out of the county attorney. As I said, I get items on Thursday. I'm expected to come in here and be prepared to vote, and it's not just one item, but we would really like an opinion. We'd like a final response on this, not only from the county attorney, but from Mr. Huckleberry's office. I think that is fair. I think it's important for the voters to understand that we shouldn't be picking charities, and many people disagree with some of the charities on this list. I disagree with some of the charities on this list, You might disagree with some of the charities I would pick if I were doing this, but I will not do it. It is not appropriate with taxpayer money.
Thank you, Supervisor Miller. We have a lot of speakers that have signed up to speak to this item. You want to go to the speakers now? Our first speaker is going to be Richard Hernandez. Mr. Hernandez, please come forward and state your name for the record. Thank you for being patient today.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Richard Hernandez. I'm a resident of the city of Tucson and Pima County, a voter and a taxpayer. First, Chairman Miller, correction. Supervisor Miller, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I read it in the paper, and you get it from me personally, but I read it. I saw the way you rolled your eyes a minute ago. If you want to roll your eyes at me, I'm going to call it to your attention. Okay? I saw it. Now let me tell you something. I'm going to give you a story about me. My family is Hispanic. We're very proud people. When we were children, there was a lot of money on the table in the dining room, but we children knew that not a nickel of that belonged to me. We knew not to take the nickel. And when Mom and Dad would say, you know, you can have a couple bucks, it didn't mean 5 or more, it meant 1 or 2 or 3, but definitely not 5. We come from a position as Hispanics who are very proud. We work hard for our money. So where I stand is not the issue if you give money to someone. As a matter of fact, you can see I'm wearing an AIDS shirt. I'm going to walk in the AIDS walk. As a matter of fact, when I worked for Southern Arizona AIDS as a volunteer, hundreds of hours, I worked for Pima County. I had to take a day off of vacation to walk Nogales and all these other communities and give out condoms and say, people, we love you. We don't want you to die. But while I was employed by Pima County, I still had to take my time off because I couldn't use public money to, even if I was saving somebody's life. That question comes to you. I'm going to teach you the thing that my parents taught me as a child. The money on this table belongs to Pima County. Whether it's $1 or $2, Mr. Stroud, doesn't make any difference, or it's 5,000 or more. It belongs to us. Me, my neighbor, my neighborhood, all of Pima County. I don't mind that you spend money that way. I actually think it's great. Don't misunderstand, it's great. The work done by these agencies is wonderful. But you have a moral and an ethical obligation to tell us how you're spending every dollar. I learned that as a child, because if I didn't, there would be hell to pay. So I'm asking you to do the same thing that we did. We were honest. It wasn't our money. It's not your money. It's our money. So you make sure that we, the public, know how you spend it. We may not like it, and I recognize you're the Board of Supervisors and you have the authority to spend it, but have the courtesy, transparency, the honesty, the integrity to tell us how you're spending your money. There are a lot of things that you do that I don't like, but I don't roll my eyes. So I'm here to tell you that I want you to do what I did as a child. Do the right thing. Make sure that we, the public, know how to spend even $1, Mr. Stroud. Even $1.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is going to be Keith Hansen. Thank you for being patient today, Keith. Please give us your name for the record.
My name is Keith Van Heinigen. I'm a Tucson resident. I'm not leaving yet. I'm going to roll my eyes. I'm going to stop watching. I'm going to jump up and down. Thank you. My God, I'm furious over this. You have no idea. A Class 6 felony is punishable by 6 to 18 months imprisonment and a fine of $150,000 maximum. Well, according to my reading, someone has violated Ethics Code, State Statute 38, 503, 504, 505, 510, and Criminal Code, State Statute 13, 2603. You add them up, it's 5 to 15 years in prison and a $1.5 million fine. You are using my taxpayer dollars to murder innocent babies. If you do not condemn baby killing, you support it. Man, that sounds like ISIS to me. I've listed the codes. Here's another one for you. And our Mr. Stroud should know this one. It's called
Chapter 2, Article 8, 38-341. Accusation by grand jury. That's how we remove corrupt public officials in this county. And guess what's happening today? The paperwork's been filed. Thank you very much. I have my 500 signatures. Rita Ranch is not happy at all. You're begging for a no-kill shelter for aliens. As Americans, as human beings, you refuse to do it for other human beings. You got a bad majority. You got bad boards. You got bad taxation. Like the man said, it's not your money. And the last one, Chapter 2, Article 8, 38-443, non-feasance in public office. That one can be done today. Goodbye.
Thank you, Keith. Our next speaker is going to be Mark Finbeck.
He's gone.
Think so?
He's gone.
Oh, okay, thank you. Our next speaker is going to be Christopher Cole then. Mr. Cole, thank you for being patient. If you'd come forward and give us your name for the record, please.
Once again, my name is Christopher Cole, and I reside in Tucson. Before I get into the meat of my remarks, just a little administrative thing. Discussion and vote regarding Board of Supervisors' use of discretionary office funds to contribute to outside organizations. If you look at my little green card there, I think I circled opposed, but I'm not really sure, because some of us forget to look at the agenda on the support. Okay. Well, some of us forget to look at the agenda on the internet, and some of us don't have easy access to the internet. If it hadn't been written a little bit better, I wouldn't have guessed support, or guessed opposed, or guessed undecided. Yeah, I support the idea that Supervisor Miller has brought forward. As has been said, it ain't your money, it's mine. I don't think that you have legal authority to donate your office funds to an outside charity. If you want to donate to an outside charity, you've got a checkbook, I'm sure. Write a check. That's what I do. I don't come to the Board of Supervisors and demand that you take the money that you collected from the poor, the middle class, the rich, whoever, and donate to my charity. I do it myself. If you've got excess office funds, as has been said, give them back. Mr. Carroll, it's nice that you're going to be donating back or giving back or refunding or however you want to say it. What was it, $68,000? And I'm sure each and every one of you tries to be responsible in your use of your office funds. Well, it ain't being responsible if you're using the office funds for something that is not voted on by the Board of Supervisors, as I believe the law requires. It's taxpayer money. The Board of Supervisors has to vote on where that money goes. And if you just slip it out of the office funds, there's no vote, I think you've broken the law.
Thank you, Chris. Our next speaker is going to be David Hammond. Mr. Hammond, thank you for being patient today, and please give us your name for the record.
David Hammond, and I'm in Sharon Bronson's district, number 3. Just about everything that's been covered so far is like about what I've been wanting to say up here. But you know, we have twice as much debt as 14 other counties in this state, and my tax bill just went up again, and I'm on a fixed income, and people have been sucking all the money out of my home for years. And I don't like it that money's being spent and doled out to nonprofits and everything, just like, you know, without anybody knowing about it. That's the big issue I have. And just like there's money going to Planned Parenthood and that kind of stuff, I don't think that should be done. And the discretionary donations are probably higher than they should be, if there should be any at all. But I also think that the money should be approved first. Otherwise, pay it out of your pocket. Because they are getting sent out like they're personal donations, and I just hope that the money's not coming back as campaign contributions. I'm going to urge taxpayers to start looking for new candidates in 2016. And you know, all you have to do is look at the roads to see that the leadership in Pima County is lacking. So I'm against this discretionary spending stuff. Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you being here today. Mayor McLaughlin is our next speaker. Mr. McLaughlin, please come forward, and thank you for being patient. And I'd like it if you give us your name for the record, please, sir.
My name is Merritt McLaughlin. I live in Oro Valley, and I'm back. I wanted to say first, I also don't appreciate the rolling of the eyes and the smirk when the audience is admonished by the chairman for decorum. We also deserve decorum from the dais. Mr. Carroll, I hope that you take this really into consideration. We're all after good government. We lose a lot of good politicians and elected officials over the years due to the fact that they get tired of having to raise money. I get that. But at the same time, when you become an elected official, that doesn't mean that you have now signed on. However, in this case with this board, it seems to be that you have now decided that this has become your lifetime occupation. I don't think that's good government. You're an elected representative, and I think the intent of our republic was to have citizen representatives, but not in perpetuity. That's part of our problem in Congress or in Washington and the state and all the way down to any level of government. And this type of what goes on with this indiscriminate contributions to the charity of your choice, when you know that charity and those people are going to most likely contribute to your campaign, is just really terrible government. It almost makes me think of when I drive down I-10 and past that sewer treatment plant. Smells. It's a sweet deal to be on this board, but this is not your lifetime, and I just feel that it skews our whole democratic process. And by having an extra advantage of a quid pro quo, which I think is probably one of the deadliest things in our democracy. So please consider desisting from this activity as of this day and moment. Thank you.
I will just comment on my behalf that there has never been an implicit or an explicit quid pro quo with any organization that I've ever made a donation to. And I just wanted to make that comment for the record. Jerry Akbani is our next speaker. Please come forward, Jerry, and thank you for being patient with us today.
I got a
And I appreciate it.
picture.
Excuse me?
Were you finished with the speakers for now?
No, sir, I still have some more speakers. Your name will come up in a minute.
Okay.
Have a seat, please.
All right.
What's your name again?
Alex, this is B-I-S.
Yeah, it's coming up next,
Oh,
but right now I just called Miss
I thought
Akbani.
you were finished.
I just called Miss Akbani up here to speak, so we're
Okay.
gonna let her go first. And then you're gonna get your chance too.
Thank you very much.
Please come forward and thank you for your patience, and please give us your name for the record.
I'm so used to saying Madam Chairman, I'm sorry. Chairman of Board of Supervisors, my name is Jerry Ottoboni, and I live in Old Valley. I was surprised to see that our property tax dollars that we provided supervisors to run their offices were instead spent on donations to outside organizations. The state constitution states that the use of public money is illegally restricted, and I was going to read this thing, but I thank you all, and I can give that to you later, the Auditor General about special funds. So I'll just hand it to you instead. Let's see. Okay. So Pima County spends more per capita than Maricopa County. Why did our property tax bills jump up so high when obviously certain supervisors have excess office funds at their disposal? You are apparently anti-senior. We are on a fixed income and you're trying to tax them out of our homes. And what about the children? This is a very bad economy, and parents and many have lost their jobs and will have large negative effect upon our children. You have not been responsible with our tax dollars, and especially secretly donating our tax dollars, not your own money, to these friendly outside groups that we did not choose. We were not even given an opportunity to vote on these groups. You have, according to a paper, and I've got that little paper here that shows all your little donations here. So according to the paper, donated large amounts of money. Some of these groups have turned around and donated to your campaigns. I think it is a big no-no. Sounds worse than Chicago politics. I think one of you are from Chicago. Anyway, those of you who have donated our tax money should be reminded that you are supposed to be the servant of the people, not the reverse. Some of these groups received on the agenda double donations. Perhaps $399,000 per year for each supervisor is too much, and you should donate it back to the taxpayer. You should be ashamed of yourselves, particularly, I think you've been here too long, but I will comment, I'm appreciative of Mr. Raymond Valdez and Aline Miller for, I did not have anything like this on you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Our next speaker is Jean Crawford. Please come forward, Jean. Thank you for being patient today. Give us your name and record.
It's been interesting. My name's Jenny Crawford, as you just said, Mr. Chairman and supervisors. This is going to be a repeat, but as Richard said, I want it on the record. My thoughts on the use of supervisor office funds contributed to outside organizations. I just want to say that I give to my choice of charities, but I use my own personal money to do it, not taxpayers' money. Since our county has a debt of over $1 billion right now, and I guess after the $22 million, if that's passed, and if the bond next year's passed, I guess it's heading towards $2 billion in debt. Our roads need fixing. I think we'd all agree with that. They kind of get resurfaced, and that's about it. Our animal care center, as we just talked the last few hours about, at the very least needs expanding, whether you agree with the 22 or 18 million or not. Also, our county properties, which we have a lot of them, and you keep buying them, whether we can afford them or not, or whether we need them or not, they need upkeep. And I could go on and on and on. So in reality, I almost thought, why even speak about this, because it's just thousands of dollars. But then I think, it's my taxpayer money. It's everyone's taxpayer money, not y'all's money. And I give to my own charities what I want. And believe me, a lot of those charities that were given to, I don't agree with, which I know you all probably wouldn't agree with my charities. So I just want to say, I want the unused funds should be put back in the general fund, because there's a lot of many necessary unmet needs in this county that need to be met. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is going to be Alex Bissett. Mr. Bissett, please come forward. And
Thank you, and I
give us your
apologize
name
for the referee comments before.
Oh, that's
a little hard to hear anything. I thought
That's okay, sir. It's no problem. Please stand over by our microphone, though. That way we can all hear you.
my name again is Alex, A-L-E-X, Bissett, B, boy, I-S-S-E-T-T. And I'll be speaking about the supervisor's use of funds to contribute to outside organizations. I'd like to make some preliminary remarks to start, and I will stay under my 3 minutes. This year, I got my 2014 property tax bill and found that my property taxes had gone up 17%. I canvassed my neighbors, 8 of them. All of them were either 17%, one was 15, one was 20. So it got me to thinking about where my tax dollars were going. And a few things came to mind. I worry about it. First, $15 million going to the University Medical School, which in my mind encourages the school to raise salaries, which results in higher tuitions, which increases the need for more money, and it goes round and round and round. Second, buying land with taxpayer money for more soccer fields we don't need. Third, budgeting $22 million for a dog shelter that has so much pork in it, we could start a sausage factory. And at last, giving taxpayer funds to outside organizations. During my career as a professional mining engineer, I learned about digging holes. But I know if you dig yourself a financial hole and you find yourself at the bottom of it, it's time to stop digging. And back to my career again, I headed up several companies and projects, and I always gave my department heads a certain piece of advice, and that is, and I try to follow it myself, if it doesn't look right, if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. That advice is particularly appropriate today when it comes to discussing the issue of taxpayer funds going to outside organizations that could be construed as buying votes. Now, was it legal or not? I don't know. But I know it doesn't pass the sniff test. It doesn't look right. And I ask you as a Pima County taxpayer to stop. My old boss of mine gave me a piece of advice too. He reminded me, a bottle of wine is a gift. A case of wine is a bribe. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Joe Bugart. Joe, please come forward. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being patient. Ladies and gentlemen, please give us your name for the record.
My name is Joe Bogart, and from Marana, and everything I would probably say has already been said, so I won't take much time. But I do support the fact, I do support limiting or eliminating the use of public funds for personal donations to organizations.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is Mary Murphy. Mary, please come forward. Give us your name for the record, please, and thank you for being patient today.
Last
Case Board, Mary Murphy from Green Valley. Ms. Miller's opening statements, the word she was, I want to throw in, is impropriety. There should be as little as possible, if possible, 1 inch of impropriety. Mr. Carroll's office is peculiar in that it includes the Green Valley office and the layer of government that is the Green Valley Council and these homeowners associations. I know for a fact, and I'll bet my bottom dollar, and I'm damn near it, he spends more time at the Pima County Animal Care Center than he does in Green Valley. That's going to have to change due to Mr. Ward's incapacitation, and it's a good time to do any other kind of organizational restructuring with regard to the Green Valley Council. I was at my homeowners association meeting yesterday, and they're continuing to hawk the fraud that was the CMG engineering drainage study in Green Valley. Drainage rate number 6. We're being jerked around, and I'm not going to stand for it. Okay, it's fraud. I've been told I should submit a consumer fraud complaint. Transparency, you know, what it's all about in Chicago politics. And we also get Elliot Ness and the Untouchables came out of Chicago as well. Mr. Carroll and I, we clowned around before. Lately, it's been a bit of a sparring match. Are from the same neighborhood in Chicago. The difference in our ages would have put me in perfect babysitting age for Mr. Carroll when he was little Raymond. When I was 14, he was 6. What would we have done? Were there siblings? 50 cents an hour per kid. And people had to beg me to babysit. It wasn't one of my favorite jobs. But do you remember that donut shop at 107th and 117th in Western called Mr. Donut, not Dunkin' Donut? Do you remember that, Mr. Donut? I wouldn't have taken you there. I'd have made you wash my car. Things are going on, and I know you're going to have to, I'm piling on here. We've got a lot of stuff going on. But if there's anything that's going to go past a 20-year career in Green Valley, now's the time to start the revolution. And may I say, let there be harmony and understanding. Let sympathy and trust abound. No more falsehoods or derision. Golden living dreams of vision. Mystic, crystal, revelation, and the mind's true liberation. Aquarius.
Thank you very much,
Oh,
Ms.
thank you.
Murphy. Our last speaker is going to be Vicki Davis. Ms. Davis, please come forward.
I also asked to speak, so you know there's got to be at least 2 more. Nancy Newman.
I'll get through all the cards I received.
I gave her to the second lady from the end there.
I have one that says Nancy Newman, is that you?
Me?
And it says washes and roads in poor condition?
Yes.
Is that,
That's my call to the public.
but you, oh, that's called to the public.
Well, that's what I'm up to speak, that's why I stayed.
Okay, well, we're not a call to the public yet. Would you like to speak on this item?
You mean about the corruption here that we're talking about?
The allegations?
No,
Then come on up here.
Okay, I didn't know
Come
that.
on up here and then fill out a green card after you finish, because you gotta have a green card to speak at this place.
Well, actually, I came to speak about the washes and the roads. Wow, I'm glad I came today. I think I'm going to start coming a lot more. I am horrified at what I heard today. I'm really horrified at you, Mr. Straub. I don't know how much you make, but in private business, you wouldn't be around anymore. You're unprepared. Supposedly, you're the chief deputy, whatever you are, and you're unprepared and you're ignorant about everything going on, you know. Ms. Miller, now I understand why you haven't joined the tent of the Board of Supervisors, because you're a little bit honest and ethical and a woman of integrity to lower yourself to go into the sloppiness of this Pima County Board of Supervisors. I am amazed. And also, I'm wondering, did you guys take that, that tax deduction, I mean the taxes, our taxes that you gave as donations. Now I'm wondering, did you take it off your personal tax, your tax statement at the end of the year? Jeepers, I'm really wondering about you guys. This is truly, you guys are sloppy. You're getting loose with what you do. I'm horrified. Thank you, Miss Miller, for being who you are. I'm shaking. I'm just shocked. And here you don't do the washes. You don't have the money to clean up the washes, and we're all putting our money out. You've already taken our money for your own tax donations, I mean, whatever. But yet you're letting the washes wash away our landscape, our trees, our roadways, and people are dying because they're washing off the roads because you're not keeping the bridges cleaned out. I'm shocked. Where have you guys been? You've been in office too long. You're sloppy. You're corrupt. You're just not what we are today. And management filters down. And when we look at the roads and the washes and the money that we all have to put out for our own because you're not taking care of us. We don't sleep secure at night because our roads are bad, and now I find out our washes have not been maintained. I'm very, very concerned about this weekend because I saw what happened in my neighborhood last weekend because a wash was not maintained, and we pretty much flooded. We were like in the middle of a river, and it shouldn't have been. We're a great neighborhood, but oh, hey, we're all putting money out now because we're cleaning up what shouldn't have happened to begin with. And you guys are here spending our private money, spending our taxes for your private little slush funds in order so you can stay popular. In fact, I questioned Bronson last week how she was giving an award in my district for that Golden Goose. She probably has never even been in there. She probably doesn't even know where it's located. It's not even her district. And I thought, why is she doing that? Who is she? But she was pretty strong in her way that she handled the meeting last week. And I thought, boy, she really rules the roost here. So now I understand who's in the tent. Now I understand Mr. Carroll always talks about, well, Miss Miller doesn't join us in the tent. Well, I understand, Allie, why you don't join them in the tent. You're ahead above everybody here. And I'm so disappointed. No wonder, no wonder. We're a beautiful community. We have a fabulous environment here. We're the mountains, everything. But look who's running the show. Management filters down. And what we are is what you guys have made us become. Nature has given us beauty here. But you guys have just pretty much trashed it. Yes. So anyway, I'd like to talk about my wash, but I will in turn come back to the speaking, back to the podium in a minute.
Thank you, but please be sure you fill out a green card for this particular item. Thank you, Vicki. Or excuse me, Ms. Evans. That's the extent of our speakers for today on this item. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman?
Supervisor Miller.
Since I put this item on the agenda, and I apologize, Mr. Cole, for my less than clear description, but it is regarding how we handle discretionary funds that are left over in the supervisor's office at the end of the year. And my motion will be to move to end the practice of any supervisors being allowed to contribute to outside organizations with their year-end budget leftover funds.
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Valdez.
Mr. Chairman, I don't intend to second the motion. What I intend to do is offer a substitute motion. And here's why. I've been listening to the discussion, and the most pressing one was by Mr. Hernandez. And I looked him straight in the eye, and he said, you know what, I may not agree with your donations, but I have a right to know about them. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right that you have every right to know how every member of this board spends their office budget. This doesn't go far enough. This doesn't cover everything it should. So what I'm going to do is I move a substitute motion to direct staff to put together for public distribution a comprehensive report of all expenses of all 5 offices over the last 2 calendar years, including personnel actions, and going forward to do that on an annual basis.
Okay, let me ask you a question. You're saying that you want to have a report of the last 2 years and you want to do it into the future every year. Is that at the end of the year? When do you want to do that, Supervisor?
The most appropriate point is that probably at the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, fine. Very good.
Mr. Chairman.
So we have a second? We have a second on the floor. Discussion, Supervisor Miller.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think this, I agree, I think that's a great motion, and I think that's something that's very important to be able to provide this report to the people. My only concern is that this practice of individual supervisors, this does not mean we as a county stop doing the donations that we get for grant funds, but as an individual supervisor office, and this was the situation in Prince Williams County, is that people perceive that you may be utilizing these donations, and I'm not saying you are, I'm just saying there's a perception there that of impropriety, and also, you know, individuals of the community or a candidate running against me, anyone on this board could say, you know, Supervisor Miller was allowed to give donations to all these charities in her district, so she was able to gain an advantage. And I think that was a very valid point, and I think Prince William County did the right thing in voting to end the practice. That's the whole reason I put this on the calendar today, was to end this practice, period.
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Carroll.
Mr. Chairman, I, again, want to express the truth here. I'm not a person who gave any donations to any nonprofits out of my district budget, but I think Mr. Valadez is correct. And I suggest that all the transparency that we can provide should be provided. And it should also talk about the employees that we have and what they earn. For example, my office and the employees in my office have chosen to forego the 50-cent raise. That was a lot. And I'm happy to report that today. I'm also happy to say that I've always given back the most money of any supervisor. I said that earlier. The bottom line is, I'm happy to look at the transparency issues, but I want to remind you that when you take ideas from counties, whether it's Prince William County, you have to realize there's 6 Republicans on this board and 2 Democrats. There's a little bit of a difference between Manassas and Tucson. So what I'm trying to say here is let the games begin. I look forward to seeing who gets paid what, and on a very public front. Who got hired and why, and how many people have been let go, or how many have quit, and how many are coming back. What's the turnover of certain offices, and how much of a return is that for the taxpayers' money? I'm happy to review it all and put it all out there in the public. So I'm looking forward to supporting Mr. Valadez's motion and see how it ends up.
Mr. Chairman, one last comment. We did look at every other county in Arizona. As you know, this data is available on Arizona Open Books. Anyone can go look at it. We looked at every other county in Arizona. There were no supervisors that we could find. They used their office budgets for discretionary donations to outside organizations. So that within Arizona, that is the practice. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I request a roll call vote. Very good. Okay, any other comments? If not, roll call, please.
Supervisor Carroll. Supervisor Miller.
No.
Supervisor Valadez.
Aye.
Chair Yates.
Aye. Motion carries.